What was Thomas Anderson's life before Matrix 4? Previously, we talked about what happened to Neo after Matrix 3, after the moment when the analyst discovered the potential energy that was found in the anomaly. But what happened afterward? What were those simulations that Neo was subjected to with his mind nearly erased? How long was he trapped in that life where he thought he was a video game developer? Today we will be talking about what happened to Neo within the simulations, the life that Thomas thought he had before beginning to suspect that everything was a lie, the false life that the analyst created for him. Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
The new Matrix does not seek perfection, much less find balance in an arbitrary equation. It is focused on emotionally manipulating the people connected to the simulation, making them doubt their sanity. It is a matrix that traps people within their deepest desires. The first trait that distinguishes this new matrix is its color. The previous simulations used to be gloomy, somewhat monotone, and covered in a green hue, which symbolized its false origin. This version of the simulation is more vibrant and colorful. It's more difficult to separate it from reality, perhaps because this simulation depends more on Neo and Trinity's emotions. After the analyst discovered that the way to activate the integral anomaly was by adding Trinity to the equation, he created several simulations.
Every sim where you two bonded, let's just say bad things happened.
In this post-apocalyptic real world, we can see how the machines forcefully separated Neo and Trinity, causing them emotional stress. Now, it's not enough just to have the two of them connected to the same matrix for them to generate energy. They needed to suffer as well, just as the analyst eventually discovered. We can see how Neo uses his powers in the real world, which reinforces the theory that the supposed real world is also a simulation. Let's stop for a second and analyze the power that Neo is using. It's kind of a kinetic force push ability that also works as a shield. Neo, using his powers, expels a massive amount of energy, and this is what the analyst wants, to provoke Neo into generating this power, because the energy from Neo's abilities is what the analyst and the Matrix leeches. In Matrix 4, Neo uses this power several times. He uses the force push against Morpheus, Smith, and the bots during battles and self-defense, and he uses the shield to stop bullets in traditional Matrix fashion. When Neo uses this power against Morpheus, the energy he expels causes technology in the Mnemosyne ship to explode. This is why Neo has a new jack behind his neck. Its use is to transfer the massive amount of energy he produces. Now then, the simulations always seem to put Thomas in the same cycle of loneliness and solitude, almost as if he is trapped in a form of Groundhog Day. This makes one wonder, why does the Matrix find it necessary to keep recycling the same story about Thomas being a pessimistic software developer who doubts reality? Perhaps this narrative allows Thomas's innate search for truth and meaning to emerge over time in a relatively harmless way. His career lets him explore the nature of reality through fiction and imagination, rather than posing an active threat to the machines. Or perhaps the machines want to crush Thomas's spirit bit by bit through the tedium of repetition, like a form of torture, making him rely on escapism and slowly acquiesce to his circumstances. In many ways, Thomas leads an ordinary life. He goes to work, he lives in an apartment, and sees a therapist. But underneath the sheen of normality, the repeated simulation structure seems precisely calibrated to drain Thomas of hope. His only solace is brief moments of questioning reality. So by allowing Thomas to be periodically troubled by his suspicions may be the best way for the Matrix to keep him compliantly trapped. The analyst saw when Neo destroyed Smith. He saw when he released that amount of energy when he sacrificed himself. And the analyst wanted to recreate that phenomenon. Here's an interesting question. Is Neo feeding the Matrix energy every time he uses his powers? This leaves us to wonder in what other creative ways the analyst could have subjected Neo to emotional stress to activate his powers. After several simulations, Neo and Trinity were deposited in the new Matrix with new lives. This is the Matrix we saw in the last movie. Neo was put in the life of Thomas Anderson, a famous video game developer who created the revolutionary video game trilogy The Matrix, and who works for the company Deus Machina. Neo spent years working and living that life without suspecting anything strange about his world. However, after winning the award for Best Video Game of the Year, Thomas began to question his life and the world around him. He felt that the game he created wasn't a game. It felt real to him somehow. At the celebration party on the balcony of a tall building, Thomas walks to the edge of the building and tries to fly. Maybe the desire to fly was something that the analyst provoked to cause Neo emotional stress. Thomas was then sent to a psychiatrist, the analyst, who made him believe that he had suffered a psychotic episode and prescribed him untonafloxacin, a blue pill that suppresses his memories and keeps him submissive in the Matrix. And what about Trinity? The analyst also created a new life for her with a new name, Tiffany. The analyst would also place her near Neo so that they would serendipitously encounter each other. However, their encounters were not happy coincidences. Their chance encounters cause them conflicting emotions, which produces the energy the analyst wants. The Matrix created methods to drain and consume love. They take advantage of Trinity's and Neo's suffering caused by their subconscious desire to be together.
However, as long as I managed to keep you close, but not too close, I discovered something incredible.
We don't know for sure how many simulations Neo and Trinity were subjected to, but we do know that at least 60 years have passed since Neo flew to the Machine City. The Matrix Resurrections simulation appears to occur after 2020, which leads us to think that Neo has spent at least 20 years in that simulation. The analyst confirms that Neo and Trinity have lived through many simulations, which means he erased their memory at the end of each one. Perhaps this is why Smith said that he did not want to be leashed by the analyst again. He knows about the multiple simulations because he was also subjected to them.
I won't have his leash on my neck again.
Thomas Anderson's life in the simulation seems to always share the same conditions. They are sad, lonely lives that involve him programming on a computer. Thomas is trapped in the same cycle where he would suffer the same degree of loneliness, frustration, and desire to be free, where his emotional load will be what feeds the Matrix itself. The way Neo is repeatedly subjected to these simulations leads us to think that maybe his predecessors were not other people. Maybe Neo's body has been recycled, rebuilt, and reused too many times. But do you agree? Why was Neo forced to live the same life in the simulations? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.